I read this book by Naval Ravikant, watched hours of his podcasts, read thousands of his tweets only to summarize all of his advice to you in under 5 minutes. And by the way, I'll make you equally intelligent. So let's get into this. Now, all of Naval's advice teaches you about making wealth or being happy. Talking about the wealth part, Naval's first advice about creating wealth is not even close to creating wealth. It's about you should have a price tag on yourself. That should mean that you have an hourly rate of yourself. Now, I know that sounds weird and low-key colonial, but anyway, hear them out.
So you just have to set a very high personal hourly rate and you have to stick to it. So even since when I was young, I just decided that I was worth a lot more than the market thought I was worth, but I started treating myself that way. So always factor your time into every decision. How much time does it take? Oh, it's going to take me an hour to get across town to get this thing. Well, I value myself at $100 an hour. That's basically throwing $100 out of my pocket. Am I going to do that?
But what increases your hourly worth? Let's say your hourly worth is $100 an hour. Anything you do for $100 an hour or for more. Anything which doesn't offer you the same price, any task which doesn't offer you the same price, you wouldn't do it. And well, how do you take it from $100 an hour to $1 million an hour? For that, Naval says, you need to do something which only you can do in the world. Something which is needed in the market and only you can do. And by that I don't mean touching your tongue up to your nose. I mean something which is valued in the market. Take an example of Steve Jobs, on whom I also made a video, by the way. What he did basically was blend art and technology together and made his consumers feel superior than every other consumer in the world. Because Apple or buying an iPhone, especially in India, is also kind of like a status symbol on a very micro level. And that's how he won that race. And that's what Naval says. You need to have specific knowledge about what you do. Basically, you need to find a problem. You need to find a solution for that problem. You need to sell the solution and you're good to go. I'll read you out one of Naval's most popular quotes. Escape competition through authenticity. That's right. And Naval says when you're good at something which only you're good at, you have to put leverage on your situation and put accountability on your name. Hundreds of years ago, if you wanted to start a business and you had to brand your business, you had to do the marketing side of it, you had to have either great connections or you needed to have a huge sum of money. Through social media and through internet and through technology, the ease of business has certainly increased and has increased itself to a threshold beyond of what it was years ago, decades ago, hundreds of years ago. Use that to your advantage and also count on your reputation. Naval in this very book gives a great example of how Warren Buffett is so rich and he continues to remain rich and keeps getting richer. Why is that? And the reason is that Warren has a great reputation. Warren's got specific knowledge about what he does, and through the trajectory of his career, he's gathered so many evidences and so many proofs of him being someone you could rely upon that finance corporations trust him easily. So to conclude this point, someone who doesn't have a great reputation kill their own opportunities. It's common sense. Would you do business with a billionaire who's empathetic, who would make money for you, takes care of the team, takes care of the company? Or would you do business with a billionaire who exploits the company, kills their partner's admirations, takes all the money and probably leaves the country? Your answer is what Naval's been saying. Well, let's say you've earned a lot of money, you've got a great house, you've got a great car, and you're the man. Will you still be happy? Well, of course not. Naval said that happiness is not in material possessions but in the clarity of mind. So to sum it up, Naval has an idea. And that idea is that peace is equal to happiness. But I don't quite agree with it. I believe that life is beautiful once in a while when you look back. Bad events are gonna happen and good events are gonna happen. You can't just always have no desire. But even though I disagree with Naval's point about happiness, I still agree that happiness is a choice. You can choose to be happy or to be sad. To a tree, there's no perspective of right or wrong. To a wall, there's no perspective of right or wrong. So, is happiness an illusion? Is happiness sort of like a drug? Sort of like a high that we create in our own heads? Look, the thing is that if you always want to be happy, there are times when suffering will knock on your door. And how do you deal with that? How do you negate suffering and still choose to be happy? Choose to be a stoic? I've made a video on that. Jordan Peterson describes it beautifully. What he says though, check this video out.